Good evening, folks, and welcome back to another episode of NASCAR Backmarker Battles. I'm your host, Colby Evans, a.k.a. Starting Parker on Twitter, and we have a big and fun show for you guys today. We're going to be going over the Backmarker Battles from Watkins Glen, very fun Xfinity race and a mid-cup race. We'll get to that. We'll get to that a bit later. And we got the return of Milwaukee, one of the most underrated tracks, in my opinion. Other than, of course, my home track, Iowa. In my opinion, Milwaukee is arguably one of the most underrated tracks in the Midwest. A very, very fun racetrack, and I'm so glad to see it return to the Truck Series schedule for the first time since 2009. Hard to believe that it's been 14 years since NASCAR has seen action at the Milwaukee Mile. And then, of course, while the Truck Series and ARCA, of course, we'll get to that show a little bit later on the week, while the Truck Series is in Milwaukee, we have the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series at Daytona. It is the regular season finale for the Cup Series. Not sure if it's the regular season finale for Xfinity. Could someone clear that up for me real quick? I don't think it is. I don't think Daytona is a regular season finale for Xfinity yet. But it's a regular season finale for Cup anyway. So, yeah, like I said, guys, big show for you guys today. We got a lot to go over. I'm going to go through my little intro, go through at the beginning of every show. And yeah, we'll get right into the NASCAR action. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Starting Parker on Twitter, for all ARC updates, low-budget team updates, some occasional dumb memes and stuff I tweet, all that fun crap. Hitting kind of stagnant right now, about 5,060 followers. So hopefully we can get that up to 5,100 sooner rather than later. Like and subscribe to my channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications so you guys never miss a podcast when we go live. We just hit 1,260 subs. So, hey, the sooner we can get to 1,300, that's get a double thumbs up for me. And, of course, check out theracingexperts.com for all NASCAR media-related content, as they are the official media partner of this podcast. Sorry, I am. If you guys do hear me sniffing, I am dealing with just a slight cold. It is very hot here in Iowa. Past couple days, and haven't been feeling the best due to the heat. So I just want to get that out of the way. If you see me a little off, it's because I'm just a little sick. But yeah, let's get right into it, shall we? Watkins Glen, one of my favorite. It is my favorite road course on the circuit. Watkins Glen is arguably my favorite road course on the circuit. Is it my favorite road course of all time? No. Le Mans is my favorite road course of all time. Circuit de la Sarthe. I believe that's how it's pronounced. That's my favorite road course of all time. I would pay good money to drive a vehicle around that track. But my favorite road course in North America is Watkins Glen. Second place is Montreal. And third place is Road Atlanta. Those are my favorite three road courses in North America. But yeah, so Watkins Glen, like I said, it's a fast-paced road course. You got the very tight turns, then you got the bust up, and it's a perfect road course for any type of series to run on. Unfortunately, the Truck Series don't go there anymore. They came back for that 1 year post-COVID in 2021. The Whelen Modifieds hadn't gone there for a while, which is a shame. And we brought ARCA back, which they still put on a great show. Again, we'll get to more of that on Thursday. But I really wish the Truck Series would come back to the Glen. I know they got their own road races, but in my opinion, take the truck date from COTA. Truck Series doesn't need to be at COTA. Take the truck date from COTA and put that at the Glen, in my personal opinion. The Truck Series at the Glen is very, very fun. The 2021 race was very good. So first, I just want to say, I want to see the trucks back at the Glen. But we had just the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series there. Xfinity, again, we'll start off with them. They had 40 cars for 38 spots. I will say the DNQs were almost maybe a little too predictable for this one. Carl Long and the team had not entered. They weren't entering this race, which I thought was a good move. Their road course Toyota just is not a very quick car in general. So I didn't think that they were going to enter. Even if they had Will Rogers, they would not have made this race. I can tell you that right now. That Toyota just is not. It just isn't quick enough. It just isn't. Even if the car is running fine, it just isn't quick enough. But we had 40 cars here. Some of the oddball entries. Casey Carden from the ARCA series was in the 74 for Mike Harmon. We had Max McLaughlin in the 96 for FRS, making just their second start, I believe their third attempt, second start. We had Stanton Barrett, the stuntman, back in the 35 for Emerling Gates, which is great to see. SS Greenlight Racing decided to get some road ringers. Alex LeBay in the 08, Josh Balicki in the 07. We had Sage Karam back in the 45. We had the Hendrick 17 entry with Alex Bowman. We had Ross Chastain back in the Mario Goslin car again. I believe that was kind of it. Like I said, we predicted it on last week's show that the DNQs would more than likely be the 74 and the 53, just because of the 74 car in general not having the best road racing speed. And I was listening to them on the scanner. Unfortunately, their RPMs topped out at 8,000 RPM before they couldn't. I guess the car wouldn't go any past that. So, at a track like Watkins Glen where speed is everything, only getting to 8,000 RPM, that wasn't going to cut it. And unfortunately, I will say this about Casey Carden. He was a lot faster than I thought he would be. But that's the one thing I really will give Casey Carden and Mike Harmon. They were a lot faster than I thought they would be. To top out at 8,000 RPM, but only be about 4 to 5 seconds off the pole, that's actually not as bad as you really think it is. It really isn't, especially for a Mike Harmon car. So I will actually say Casey did a great job. And he ran quite a few practice laps. It almost makes me wonder if they knew they probably weren't going to make the show, and maybe Carden was more of just running a lot of practice laps, because he did run more than practice laps than you would think a CHK car would. But I hope Casey had a good time. Definitely shows. He might be one of those underrated road racing talents. What he's done for Alex Clubb's car and what he's done for Mike Harmon's car. I know he's not showing much speed, but those cars in general are not the best. And for what he's doing in them is quite impressive, I will say. Patrick Emmerling, I don't want to say that was kind of a giveaway, but Patrick's not a road racer. He has competed on road races before. We know he ran Portland. I think he's run Portland twice now. But it was just kind of, and to me, it was just obvious that he wasn't going to make this race. I don't think he's run the Glen before. If he has, I don't remember. But it just seemed too obvious. The 53 is not very good in points right now. If anything, you could look at the results for the 53 the last 3 weeks. DNQ at Michigan, 38th at Indianapolis, and a DNQ here. So it's been a really tough 3 weeks for Emmeline Gase Motorsports and the 53 team. Basically just 3 horrible weeks. But we all kind of predicted the 53 and the 74. So that kind of made qualifying a little – it was fun at the end of the day. It was also to see if the 96 of Max McLaughlin could get in, and they barely just made it in. They made it in the race by only about 0.2. So it was a little touch and go there, but we kind of all figured that the 96 and McLaughlin would have enough speed to make the show. But they did. They qualified 31st, so FRS would be in its third career start or third start. Unfortunately, we'll get to a little bit later, that start did not end very well for the 96 car, sadly. But yeah, so 53 and 74 went home. I don't even know how many DNQs now it's been for the 74 this year. God bless Mike Harmon for somehow still staying in business. But man, with the world that we live in now, with the cost of everything, I respect is all I can say for Mike Harmon for still going, man, because it can't be any easier DNQing all these damn races at this stage in the game when it's the most expensive it's ever been. Absolute most expensive it's ever been. So the race started. Now, I missed the first chunk of this race missed the first chunk of this race. So I came into this race about 11 to 12 laps in, and I really had about 20 laps in, actually, sorry. And I missed quite a bit. In the first 21 laps, it was all pretty much Ty Gibbs, so I didn't miss much at the front, but it looked like we had some mechanical problems for a lot of cars. It looked like Blaine Perkins, Our Motorsports, that team is on life support. That's all I can say. I think Our Motorsports will be fine for the rest of the year. I think Our Motorsports will finish the year, but that team is on absolute life support. If you guys don't remember, they had their hauler all decaled up. And now that collar is completely blank. So something has happened there as well. And yeah, I think the only thing that's keeping Our in business has been Blaine's money. It's the only thing that's been keeping him in business this whole year, really, has been Blaine Perkins' money. But yeah, that's pretty much the only. It's sad seeing our struggle this bad. Blaine's not that bad. It's just our. It's a shame. Our motorsports had so much potential with Brett Moffitt, and then they expanded to 3 full-time teams. I don't care how much sponsorship they had. That was the dumbest decision they could have made, and it really kind of killed the team. They've been nothing this year, really, at all. Jeremy Clements, unfortunately, he had a suspension failure after an early crash, so that sucked to see. Jeremy Clements usually can get pretty good runs on the road courses. And Josh Williams, with probably one of the most brain-dead moves of the year, not parking his car on the front stretch at Atlanta. That was awesome. But unfortunately, it appeared that under a caution, Josh Williams just simply ran right into the back of Stephon Parsons. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, it's, Josh owned up to it. It's the dumbest thing he said he's ever done in a race car. And it sucks because the car was destroyed. The front end is killed. Radiator was killed. So, yeah, for the guys who got to put the body together, the guys who got to replace the internal components, that's got to suck for them. And I would bet Josh Williams, he knows how to do it all himself anyway. I'm sure he'll be at that shop helping him out. But kind of sucked for Josh Williams. He is, for all the luck that Josh has had this year, he does not come on the road courses. I don't think he's finished a single road race this year. It's been a pretty tough go for him. Well, he did finish Indianapolis, but he finished, he had a part failure in that race, so he couldn't even get a good run. But yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say Josh Williams has been crap this year. I would say it's more of DGM is not keeping up. We've seen that before with some Xfinity teams. The lower end Xfinity operations, sometimes they just start, they hit their peak and then they just start going back downhill. So he was fixing his earphones and wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, Marco, in the chat. I don't think top 10s, he hasn't been crap. He's just had more bad luck that has surrounded those top 10s, in my opinion. But DGM, I do feel like is starting to hit a point where I don't want to say they're going down, but I think they kind of hit their peak. And I hope DGM can stay at that peak because I love Mario Gosling. Mario Gosling's been one of my favorite underdogs ever since his days in the truck series, 14 years ago, back with the shout out to the OGs who remember the My Tire Monkey truck. That's the real OGs right there. That's what made me a fan of Mario Gosling, and I've supported him ever since. Even back to the days where his team was named King Autosport. Real OGs remember that when the Mario Gosling's Xfinity team was called King Autosport. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those were kind of the early exits. We had Ryan Ellis. He was in the garage for, I think the car stalled on pit road. Brett Moffitt had an axle issue, suspension problems. Yeah, lots of cars breaking down in this race. One of the other moments of the race was we had Riley Herbst. He had a suspension failure, broke a track bar mount. He broke a track bar mount, which sucks for his playoff hopes. And then one of the big moment of the race for the underdogs was Stephon Parsons had come to pit road with the supposed brake issues. Now, I don't want to say that this contributed to the crash, but I want to say it did. The 44 comes to the pits, and 15 seconds later, the 96 comes into the corner of Max McLaughlin, the final corner, and it's as if the car just goes left. He didn't blow a tire. He didn't, he didn't blow a tire. He didn't have a mechanical problem. It's just that the car just suddenly veered left, and it was a horrible hit. Probably one of the worst Watkins Glen hits we've seen in a long time. And I don't know if I want to say the 44 contributed to it, but it wouldn't shock me if maybe some fluid was coming underneath that 44 car. That may have been laid down on track. Nobody noticed it. The next car to hit it was the 96, and the 96 couldn't do anything about it. Now, again, that's just speculation. But some people say it could have been fluid. I've heard maybe even Colin said he maybe hit some fluid. Either way, the 96 car is toast, which sucks for FRS Racing. You talk about part-time Xfinity teams. This team is part-time Xfinity, the team that literally runs about 4 races a year. There are part-time teams that run about 10 to 15 races. this is a team that literally will run about 4 to 5 races this year. So the last thing that they can afford is not only a crashed car, but a demolished car. This car was absolutely killed. I think the chassis might be salvageable, but that's probably the only thing that was salvageable from this crash. This car was absolutely killed. And I hate it because Max was doing an okay job. He had been on and off pit road. He was running about 27th, but he was doing his job. In a sense, FRS is the ashes of BMS. It's true. I mean, I think that's where they did get their cars from. But it sucks, though. Max was doing a fine job. Colin Fern's a great guy. He's tried so hard to build this program. And to see this happen to them, but, unfortunately, that old saying, that's racing. They did say that this was their only road course car. I know they have a couple more cars. I mean, obviously, the car that Kyle Weatherman got in the show at Martinsville was not this car, but I don't know how many other road course chassis and road course cars that they have. So that sucks there. That was kind of the big underdog, sad moment of the race. SS Greenlight Racing, despite the road ringers, they continued to struggle. The 07 of Balicki was dealing with brake issues. The 08 of Alex LeBay, I think was dealing with lingering mechanical problems. Those cars were basically running 3 laps down the entire race. And when you get 3 laps down at the Glen, it's just impossible to make those up. So they basically were just running for the sake of running. And another thing that I would like to point out is that SS Greenlight Racing has appeared to change their focus on the Xfinity teams. We have seen the 07 be a Chevrolet at every race, and we have seen the 08 be a mix of Chevrolets and Fords. Well, this weekend we saw a turnaround for that. The 08, which is the car that is higher in owner points, now has the Chevrolet cars, whereas the 07 is running the older Fords. So that could be SS Greenlight Racing actually trying to put some effort into the car that's got the most chances to get them that top 37K bonus. I know it's like I said in the chat, it's so weird how Brandon Brown, we know what happened to him last year, and he had to take by this time last year, he had to take all these different rides with BJ McLeod and Mike Harmon, and SS Greenlight Racing to finish out the year, and it's just so hard to believe we have not seen Brandon Brown one bit on social media either. It's like he is literally dropped off the face of the earth. And it's sad. Brandon Brown was such a likable guy, very fun guy to meet. I've met him multiple times. The team had so much potential. I think it's just a case of a team that expanded too much. And they only had one car, but they expanded shop operations. They had 2 race shops. And honestly, for a team of their budget, probably was not the best idea. And obviously, we all know what happened with the sponsorship deal and, the LGB coin. And let's not get into that. But yeah, it's really odd not seeing Brandon Brown at all this year. Just doesn't feel right. And the 68 team too, they're dead. So yeah. Alex in the chat, Brandon Brown's shop in Virginia has the NY Racing 44 hauler parked there. Oh, well, you heard that right there, folks. So if you guys want to know where the NY Racing 44 hauler is right now, it is parked at Brandon Brown's Virginia shop. And yes, Brandon Brown, like I said, he had 2 race shops. He had the one that was in Virginia, and he had the one that was in Charlotte, or the one that was in North Carolina. I don't know if it was in Charlotte. But yes, and I don't think having 2 race shops did Brandon built any favors. For their budget, I don't know why they would have 2 shops. But yes, I do miss Brandon Brown. I agree with the people in the chat. We had more chaos for backmarkers. A lot, like I said, part failures galore. We had a lot of suspension and track bar failures in this race. Fortunately, Stanton Barrett, he broke a track bar. Anthony Alfredo, he appeared to break a track bar, axle issues. So it's been a rough go for the BJ McLeod Xfinity team lately. A rough week, just a rough couple weeks for Emerling Gase Motorsports. Even though the 35 has made the show, it's not like they've had blistering great runs either. I mean, yeah, they had the great 11th place finish at Indianapolis, but then you just come back to this race and track bar failure. So that sucks for them. Probably one of the rare times where you don't really see Kyle Busch at all in Xfinity race. Kind of fast forward towards the end. Of course, we know what happened with Gibbs and Sam Mayer, which was just absolutely comical. The real OGs the real OGs remember the ARCA days, not even the ARCA days, the K&N East Series days. Those are the real OGs that remember where that feud started. And it was when Ty Gibbs was not even driving for Joe Gibbs. He was driving for David Gilliland's team. Yes. That's really where that feud started. Ty Gibbs wasn't even driving for Gibbs yet. He was driving for when it was simply known as DGR Crosley. Remember that? Yeah. When it was DGR Crosley, Ty Gibbs was driving the 17 car back in 2019. He was running ARCA races too, but in the K&N East Series, back when that series still existed. So that's where that feud started. And to see it 4 years later, 4 or 5 years later, feels like 5 years, and they're still going strong. They both hate each other. You got to love it. You know, you got to love a naturally building NASCAR feud. You know, between a guy, you could say, are they both spoiled brats in some way? Yes. Okay. You know, Ty Gibbs, he's a brat. We know he's a brat. But you know what? We accept him as a brat. Okay? We get that. We accept him as a brat, but he's also a very, very talented race car driver. And so is Sam Mayer. They're both very talented. They're both very good at what they do. Ty Gibbs had the best car. He was the class of the field 2 weeks in a row, and he should have won this race. He didn't, though, for obvious reasons. Sam Mayer gets his second career win. Just a wild last couple laps, and arguably one of the wildest finishing orders that I've ever seen. Ross Chastain, probably one of the better moments in the 91 car for DGM. 4th place. How about that? You know, I'm not the biggest Ross Chastain fan, but hey, anytime we can see a Mario Gosling car in the top 5, I will take it, man. That's a great payday for that organization as well. So I think that's one thing that also makes me happier about this 4th place finish was the payday that comes with it. Mario Gosling, I'm sure he got a nice chunk of change for 4th place. And it's great publicity for Ross Chastain, too, you know, being a cup driver for Trackhouse. Connor Mosack, the wrecking ball of the ARCA series, really ran, I would say, the best race of his career. Arguably, he ran the best race of his career. He even had a moment where he got shoved through the gravel. Wasn't his fault, but he got shoved through the gravel, saved it, came back to finish 5th. Who the heck saw that coming? So, hey, good for Connor. We crap on him on the show a lot, but hey, I'll give credit where credit is due. Connor Mosack, top 5 finish, good for him. Good for Sam Hunt, too. About time that 24 car actually had a good run. Jeb Burton, another top 10 for him. This was also a very good one to see. JD Motorsports, Brennan Poole, and Kyle Weatherman, 12th and 13th. I mean, you talk about a recovery like no other. JD Motorsports was not good at the beginning of this year. The 6 was okay. The 4 was garbage. Was it Garrett Smithley? We don't know. I think Garrett's better than that. I think Garrett got too much flack at the beginning of the year. JD Motorsports has really come alive in the last couple weeks. The 4 car has gotten some amazing finishes. The 4 car at one point was the lowest full-time car in Xfinity points. And now it's above quite a few cars. And the 6 is back in the top 30 10K bonus. That was the biggest news to come out of this race for the lower tier teams. The 6 car is now 30th place. The Hour car is out. And I'm telling you, like we were talking about earlier with Hour Motorsports, losing that extra $7,000 a race, I'm telling you, that's going to take a big hit because, you know, $7,000, that's 2 sets of tires. You know, that can help pay for hotels. That can help pay for, you know, food for the team. $7,000, man, for a team like them goes a long, long way. Same thing for JD Motorsports. So, you know, not getting that. I mean, they'll still get full purse money. Yes, they'll still get the purse money. But I'm meaning more of the bonus money. That bonus money goes a long way for these Xfinity organizations. So for JD Motorsports to at least get one of their cars finally in that $7,000, like I said, it could go a long way. Hotel bills, food for the team, extra tires. You know, it goes a long way. So, and shout out to Brennan Poole, man. He is just an absolute beast. It is so cool seeing Brennan Poole revitalize his career with the lower budget teams after we all kind of thought he was just done. I mean, he had that full season with Rick Ware in 2020, and we didn't really see much of him And then he just reappeared randomly for Mike Harmon last year, and he did the best he could with that team. And now he's found a great spot at JD Motorsports where he's doing the best he can with that car. And for all you people wondering, the deal for Daytona, Brennan Poole's sponsor wanted to go cup racing. It is a one-race deal for Garrett Smithley, okay? Let's not get too mad here. Brennan Poole will return to the 6 at Darlington, okay? This is just a one-race deal. So let's not get too mad here, guys. I know we're not the biggest Garrett Smithley fans. I like Garrett Smithley. I don't understand the hate for Garrett Smithley, but this is just a one-race deal. So let's not lose our minds, okay? Let's calm down here. Brennan Poole's sponsor wanted to go cup racing, so Brennan Poole's in the 15. Well, spoiler alert, he's in the 15 for Rick Ware this weekend. And so that's why the 6 was open, so Garrett Smithley filled it, okay? It's that simple. It's not a big deal. So let's not lose our minds. Brennan Poole will return to the 6. He'll be in the 6 for the rest of the year. But yeah, that was really good to see Johnny Davis. I can't remember the last time 2 Johnny Davis cars finished top 15. And, the look on his face after that interview just said it all, man. Johnny Davis is a badass. Curtis Davis, badass. Everyone at JD Motorsports, just a badass. Sage Karam with another top 15 finish. And this was really impressive, too, because I didn't know this because, of course, Fox, NBC doesn't show everything either. NBC doesn't show everything either. Apparently, Sage was involved in a last lap crash and broke the track bar. And he still managed to finish 15th with a broken track bar. That's pretty impressive right there. Sage Karam still managed to finish top 15 despite a last lap spin with a broken track bar. Badass by Sage Karam. Although it really shines, despite a great finish, a rough day for Alpha Prime Racing. 15th, but a crashed car for Sage Karam. 30th for Ryan Ellis after coming back out of the garage. And 33rd for the 44 of Parsons with the brake failure. So again, Alpha Prime Racing, even when they keep winning, they still keep losing, sadly. And then Kyle Sieg, 19th. He's not really a road racer. He doesn't really like the road courses. So for him to still finish 19th, it's a good run for him. We saw at Indianapolis that the 39 car was blank. And this weekend, it was completely black. It was a completely black car. So it really sucks seeing Ryan Sieg's team unsponsored. That's probably the saddest thing to come out of the Xfinity series. But hey, he still got 21st. So that's not too bad. And Joe Graff Jr., who's definitely not a road racer, he got 22nd. So overall, not a bad day for RSS either. The 08 and the 07 finally finished inside the top 25 together. First time since Atlanta earlier this year. So, yeah. Overall, the race was fun. Xfinity at the Glen is great, as always. Backmarkers did very well. Again, Ross Chastain being the best one. Yet some backmarkers still struggled. But like I said, overall, Watkins Glen on the Xfinity side delivered. And yeah, I'll give the race a solid 8 out of 10. Very solid race. And for backmarkers, like I said, just great when you see the road racing. Road racing really brings out which backmarker teams and drivers really know what the hell they're doing. And JD Motorsports proved that. Then comes the Cup race. And boy, I have so much to say, and at the same time, I really don't. It was a race that happened. Oh, gosh. I don't want to be too negative. I really don't. Because like I said, this is my favorite road course, guys. But you guys know on this show, I call it like it is. I do. That race was not good. And I don't blame the track. I do not blame the track. That is all on the race car. This car is not good on road courses. And that was arguably one of the worst Watkins Glen races I have ever seen. And that is coming from a fan who loves this track. That was not good. The top 7 did not change in the final 15 laps. It was a very frustrating race to watch. And it only went an hour and 58 minutes. No stage breaks, which is great. I am not advocating at all for stage cautions to come back. Let me be clear on that. I am not advocating for that at all. I love no stage cautions. You want to keep the points? Fine. We don't need the cautions. it was just a hard race to watch. Passing was definitely difficult. There were only a few cars in the field that could actually pass. It was just the highlights were McDowell getting the 2 penalties, but driving through the field before an unfortunate electrical problem took him out of the race. William Byron, he's won 5 races this year, and it feels like he's still done nothing. Like he's won 5 races, and it doesn't feel like he's important. I don't know why. It's because I think William Byron just got like no fan base. We had AJ up there. We had Truex and Gibbs, but you couldn't do anything. Like I said, it was just frustrating to watch. The highlights of the race for me for Todd Gilliland. Despite the issues with the 34, Todd Gilliland still got a great finish. 11th place, one of his better runs of the year. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 13th. So great runs for those 2 underdogs. And even give a shout out to Mike Rockenfeller. Rocky from the sports car divisions. That 42 car we know is pretty garbage. And for him to get 19th with it is pretty impressive, especially when you consider that his teammate was all the way down in 29th. The funniest moment of the race was seeing Chase Elliott run out of fuel. That was funny. And all the memes that became of Alan Gustafson and Chase Elliott. By the way, shout out, if you guys have not seen it, I retweeted it. The Drake and Josh helicopter meme that was used with Chase Elliott and Alan Gustafson. That is the best meme I have seen made. That was hilarious. So shout out to whoever made that. That was awesome. But I really hope we get a better road course package. NASCAR, just admit your road course, your car has problems, and let's work on a solution. Number 1, more horsepower. At a track like this, we need more horsepower. Minimum, we need at least 750. That extra 80 horsepower would help so much. Because if you guys noticed, the bus stop is normally used for passing zones. They didn't use a lot of passing in the bus stop. It's because they don't slow down as much as they used to for the bus stop. And the one thing that bothers me, and this might disagree. Some people might disagree with this. I don't like all the runoff area. The runoff area is supposed to be used if you spin out or you have a collision with someone and you've gone off course. I don't like the fact that the entire field now uses the runoff area, specifically in turn 1 and coming off the carousel. Okay? I miss when Watkins Glen had all the grass. It really, you couldn't mess up. You had to nail every lap. I don't like it. I don't like it. When they just fly off of turn 1 and then just fly like halfway toward, they're coming close to hitting that guardrail. Someone's going to hit that guardrail one day. And it's just so frustrating. That's why you don't see any more wheel hop into turn 1. That's why it's so hard to pass someone into turn 1. But am I saying we need track limits? No. And it's hard to enforce that. But I think it's low-key kind of ruined Watkins Glen too, having all that runoff to drive on. Back in the old days when you really had to nail turn 1 perfectly every single lap, you could easily wheel hop yourself, like Jeff Gordon did back in 2007. It cost him the race. Well, if Jeff Gordon, if they were running in all that runoff area, Jeff Gordon would have been just fine. So, and yeah, no tire fall off. Like I said, I don't want to get into a long rant, but it was just a frustrating race to watch. For the people who enjoyed it, fine. If you enjoyed it, good for you. Good for you. I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed to enjoy what you enjoy. But don't rip on the people who didn't like it, is all I'm going to say. I didn't like it, not because of crashes. It's because nothing was happening in general. Even if we're not having crashes, but we're having, good battles. Or, we're having someone, they get turned around, but they keep going. It's like just nothing really happened outside of the Chase Elliott running out of fuel. That is it. And like I said, especially the top 7 did not change in the final 25 laps of that race. That was the most frustrating part. And it's not like they were even separated by 30 seconds. The top 7 were separated by 10 seconds pretty much at the white flag. And they couldn't do anything. It was frustrating. Not blaming the track. We got to fix this car. That's all I'm going to say about that. Top 33 charter battle. The 42's good run is not what the 15 or 51 wanted to see. The 77 had a disappointing day down in 34th, but the 42 continues to pull away from the 51. That is not what the 51 needs. Excuse me there. So, yeah, for Rick Ware Racing, they'll definitely be looking for a rebound here at Daytona. So now we move on from Watkins Glen. And by the way, I also, in terms of the race, 3 out of 10. You want me to be honest? I give that Cup race a 3 out of 10. Absolutely. And honestly, I'll say this. Had McDowell not won Indianapolis, that race would not have been looked at as good either. The only reason why that people looked at that race better than Watkins Glen was because Michael McDowell won the race. 100%. Last 2 road course races were snoozers. If you disagreed and you enjoyed the race, that's fine. You can enjoy it. But I didn't like it. Anyway, guys, let's move on to something more positive here. We got the Truck Series. Milwaukee, yes. Truck Series in Milwaukee. They're sharing it with the ARCA Series. Again, we'll get to the ARCA show on Thursday. But the Truck Series is going to be back. Great to see the Truck Series back at there at Milwaukee Mile. The one thing I'll say is, why is the race only 175? The Milwaukee Truck Race always used to be 200 laps. Why are we only running 175? Like, come on, why are these truck races getting shorter? Has anybody else noticed that too? Honestly, has anyone else noticed that the Truck Series races have gotten consistently shorter over the last couple of years? Not by a lot, but just by a little bit every little time, you know? Like the truck race at Kansas used to be 167 laps. Now it's 134. That's one thing I noticed too. I don't like that. I like longer races. So, yeah, I don't know why we're practicing Saturday and racing Sunday. That didn't really make sense to me either. Yeah, I guess they keep crashing, but man, I just don't like the fact that they're shortening all the truck races, especially with the stages. It's just such overkill. But at a track like this, obviously you're going to have the mandatory cautions anyway. We got 37 trucks here for 36 spots, so we have 1 truck going home. Some of the notable entries. We got Josh Bilicki. Milwaukee's kind of a home track for him, so he wanted to run this race. So good to see him in the Truck Series again. He'll be in the 02 for Youngs. Derek Kraus will be in the Spire truck. And actually, I want to give a little insight to this Spire truck. So my friend Brian Wortman, pray for Tyler Ankrum. Yes, we'll pray for Tyler Ankrum in 1 second, but I want to give a shout out here. My friend Brian Wortman, who works in NASCAR, he revealed some pretty interesting information that for Lane Riggs, you know, we all know that Lane Riggs drove the 7 truck at IRP to a 3rd place finish. And we're like, oh, man, this is a great opportunity for him. You know, it's a great opportunity for Lane Riggs. 3rd place finish. It was a good showing for him. Supposedly, that ride costed an upwards of almost $100,000. I don't know if that's true, but sometimes for these single race deals, that can happen. So I hope that's not true, but it's sometimes these teams can take this kind of money to be competitive. And that's really sad, in my opinion. But I just wanted to let them know. I mean, supposedly Lane Riggs paid almost 6 figures to drive that 7 truck. But yeah, Derek Cross will be in the 7 for Spire. He's been all over the place this year. Greg Van Alst, of course, continues his ride in the 20. Blackjack Racing is back. Yes, Blackjack Racing. Remember them? They were a Cup Series team in 2009 with Dexter Bean. He only made 1 race. They DNQ'd a lot. And they shut down that same year. Well, they are back. Dexter Bean is back, the 21 now. They are no longer running the 51 because that number is obviously taken by Kyle Busch. But the 21 was available, so they are running that. It is Dexter Bean. Mario Gazin, of course, who is a relative of Dexter Bean, will be the crew chief. Great to see this organization back. I assume it's coming out of the DGM shop. I know DGM's got a 3rd hauler, so that's probably what they're going to be using, or a trailer, something like that. But great to see Dexter back in the sport. Dexter's a great guy. He's been around for a long time. Like, people forget just how long Dexter Bean has been in racing. He's been around for well over, 16, 17 years? Just kind of been on and off. Yeah, Dexter Bean, Josh Ryomes in the 22 this week. It's his own truck, but it'll be under the 22 team. Everybody's favorite, Brad Perez, will be in the 30. Derek Lemke, Natalie Decker's boyfriend, that's his only claim to fame, will be in the 33. Bailey Curry's back in the 41. Great to see Bailey back in the truck. Matt Mills back in the 51. Awesome to see him. Hopefully he can do good on his 5th place finish from Richmond. Tyler Hill's back in the 56 again. Sean Hingorani, man, the Arca West guy and the guy who ran his teammate off at Mid-Ohio, will be in the 61 truck. Yes, that's Sean Hingorani. He will be in the 61 truck. So, needless to say, looking at the replies of the tweet that Hattori Racing put out, I tell you, yes, Age in the chat, I have not seen so much negativity. Towards an announcement since Nikita Mazepin's Formula One ride. Wow, poor Sean Hingorani was getting roasted in the chats. I actually felt bad for him. He was getting absolutely destroyed in the comments section of that tweet. I don't know if they privated it since, but poor Sean. I actually felt bad for him. So many people were just destroying him in the comments. Oh, boy. I hope the 61, there are rumors that truck might go full-time next year, so that'd be kind of cool. Why did HRA do that? It's because they're a Toyota supporting team. Toyota is basically the supporting team for the Truck Series, so a lot of Venturini prospects. I'm kind of shocked we have not seen Jesse Love do more races for Hattori, but I guess he's doing those races for Tricon instead. And I guess Tricon's trucks are full. Ankrum will be back. The sponsorship he's got, he'll be back. Trust me. But yeah, Sean Hingorani in the 61. And then we got Connor Jones in the 66. Oh, boy. Sean Hingorani and Connor Jones in the same race. Boy. Maybe just to say that we do have 37 trucks, so one will have to go home. And, man, I tell you, this one's going to be close. I think it's either going to be the 33 or the 21. A lot of people are already counting out Dexter. A lot of people, sorry, I had to readjust myself there. A lot of people are already counting out Dexter. You know, I tell you, you only got to beat 6. You only got to beat 6 trucks to make this race on time. And, you know, nobody's really got any notes coming into this race. You know, a lot of the crew guys, you know, who were working back in 2009, a lot of them aren't here anymore. You know, the track at Milwaukee has changed dramatically in 14 years. So everybody's coming into this race this weekend unknowns, you know. So I think that Dexter's actually got a shot at making the race, and my DNQ pick will actually be the 33. Not that I want the 33 to go home because I love Josh Ryomes' team, but I think the 33 truck will miss the show. I think the 21 will just barely make it. But that's my prediction. Yeah, and sorry, guys. I haven't been feeling the best for the last couple days. Oh, boy. Again, the Iowa heat is really getting to me, and I haven't been feeling the best, so I'm sorry. Apologize to that. But, yeah, so that's the Truck Series at Milwaukee. Really do hope that Dexter can make the show. And I hope Greg Van Elst can finish. Like, God dang. Can this guy please finish a race? Can he at least run more than 50 laps? I'm sorry. Greg Van Elst has finished last in his 3 NASCAR starts. Can we please let this man finish for once? Like, I don't even care if he finishes like 30th. Just finish the damn race. Please. One like equals one prayer for a Greg Van Elst finish. One like equals one prayer for a Greg Van Elst finishing this truck race. Oh, boy. Greg Van Elst, the ARCA team, will not be there, as far as I know. Why you got to unlike? Don't unlike. Greg Van Elst needs all the prayers he can get. Yes. Yeah, Dean versus Sean again. Will that happen? Who knows? Milwaukee ARCA entry list is not out yet. That's why we're not doing the ARCA show tonight. Otherwise, we would have. But yeah, so that's the Truck Series at Milwaukee. Should be very fun. It's on a Sunday. It's on a Sunday. So even though the Cup race and Xfinity race will be Friday and Saturday, we still got Sunday race to look forward to at the Milwaukee Mile with the ARCA Series. Now we move on to the Xfinity Series. And this entry list is kind of wacky. Only 38 cars. Nobody's going home. However, there were some entries that were scheduled to show up that did not. Mike Harmon and CHK were originally supposed to show up with Mike as the driver. They did not enter. MBM Motorsports was supposed to enter their Ford. The Chevy was destroyed at Talladega, but they were going to enter their 66 car in with the driver was not mentioned. The driver was not mentioned, unfortunately, but it appeared that they were going to go in with a leased Ford motor. Unfortunately, the drivers and the sponsorship check fell through. They tried to get something else going, it appears, but by the time they had put their order in, I don't think they were going to make it in time. So unfortunately, MBM, and that's the saddest part, man. Carl Long and MBM, they had a double top 10 finish with both cars last year at Daytona. Timmy Hill finished second. The original plan was they were going to run two cars. Like original plan about 2 months ago, was that they were going to run two cars. But then, of course, the Chevy got killed. They couldn't find a second car, so they were going to go down to one car, and then the one car just kind of got screwed too. So sucks about that. MBM will be at Darlington with Timmy Hill. They did confirm that. But just sucks overall. But 38 cars, man. And there was supposed to be another entry. Natalie Decker will be driving for Emerling Gase Motorsports. She was supposed to be in a third car. It appears that maybe CJ McLaughlin was supposed to be the original driver of the 53, and that Natalie was going to enter either the 54 or the 55 car. Plans changed. Natalie Decker was then put in the 53. SciAps was originally listed as the sponsor, but that has been now changed to Wawa, which is, by the way, is a really, really funny car. Speaking of Wawa, we'll get to this in 1 second. We will get to this in 1 second. Sorry. I'm just trying to look up something. But yeah, Natalie Decker was supposed to be an original car. So we had quite a few cars going to show up, including the 34. The 34 of Jesse Uji Motorsports was scheduled to show up as well. So the original entry list was looking at well over 41 to 42 cars for this race. And unfortunately, now we only got 38. So to everyone who got a leased motor for qualifying, you don't need it now. You don't need it now because you're going to be locked in the show regardless. But the entry list, we'll go over it right now. So everyone makes the show, so nobody's got to worry about going home. First notable entry, Garrett Smithley again. It's a one-race deal, guys. Just let's calm down. I know we want Brennan Poole in the car, but his sponsor wanted him to go cup racing instead. So that left the 6 car open. Garrett Smithley is taking the ride for 1 seat. So let's just calm down. Brennan Poole will be back in the car at Darlington. Not a big deal. It is not a big deal. Okay? So let's just calm down about that. The 07 was originally listed to be David Starr, but that has been changed to J.J. Yaley. My man, J.J. Yaley. I'm probably the last big J.J. Yaley fan there is. I love J.J. Yaley. And he fits into the deal that we were going to talk about with Wawa. Wawa, which is a funny name. I love it. They will be sponsoring 4 cars to promote its new Recharger energy drinks line and as the title sponsor of the race in general. It will be sponsoring the cars of the 07 of J.J. Yaley, the 25 of Brett Moffitt, the 38 of Joe Graff Jr., and the 53 of Natalie Decker. J.J. Yaley's car will feature a primarily yellow car with a blue rear. Brett Moffitt's car will feature a pink and red front with an orange rear. Joe Graff Jr.'s car will feature a blue front with a purple rear. And Natalie Decker's car will feature a green front end with a red to pink rear. Looking at the paint schemes, I can say right now, JJ has the best looking one. And I'll say this. JJ Yaley is not running for cup points mainly because he's not full-time. he will sometimes choose lower divisions so that way he can run in any series because JJ's not a full-time driver anymore. So he chooses to run other points so that way he can run in all 3 divisions, if that makes sense. And I tell you, you got to remember, the SS Greenlight cars, they haven't been the best this season, but they do go all out for these races. And, of course, everybody's favorite for SS Greenlight Racing, he's back. Gray Gaulding is back with the Panini trading card sponsor. So 2 great picks for SS Greenlight Racing this weekend. JJ Ailey and Gray Gaulding, both big, competent plate racers, really know what they're doing. And the best part is, guys, they will both have ECR engines due to the sponsorships that they are getting. They can afford. So you talk about 2 cars that actually have a legitimate chance of getting top 10 finishes. They can do it, man. They can't win, but probably not. But top 10 finishes are not out of the question, guys. So great for SS Greenlight Racing, and maybe this is probably their final really big chance at getting a great run this year. But a great lineup for SS Greenlight Racing with JJ Ailey and Gray Gaulding. Very, very excited to see how that turns out for them. Kyle Busch is listed as the driver of the 10. That is not true. That will be Justin Haley. Ty Gibbs, I believe, is listed as the 19, but I don't think that's true either. Here's an odd situation. It was announced that Jordan Anderson would drive in a third car at Daytona. This was announced a couple weeks ago. Gibbs will be in the 19. Oh, thought they said Gibbs wasn't going to be in the 19. Okay. Well, I guess that's changed then. Jordan Anderson Racing had announced that they were going to run a third car. It was most people, including myself, just assumed that it was going to be the 32, like we have seen before with Jordan Anderson run last year. And it came out a couple days ago that he was actually going to be in the 27, and everyone, including me, was confused. We're like, what? Why is he going to be in the 27? Jeb Burton not be able to find funding? And, even Jeb Burton, he was trolling us. We should have known. Jeb Burton said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I felt bad. I'm like, oh, man, Jeb was actually having a good year compared to last year. Jeb was actually doing pretty decent this year. And then, of course, we all got fooled. Jeb put out this amazing thank you, John, in the chat. Appreciate you. Jeb put out this amazing video, and the 22 is back. It's not Penske. For the first time in when was the last time we did not see a non-22 Penske car? It's been a long time. I believe it's got to be Kenny Wallace in the old AutoZone car? That had to have been the last time that we saw. No. It was the Sport Clips car, the Sport Clips Dodge. Yeah. With his name, Armando Fitz. Yes, that's what it is. What was the team name? Fitz Bradshaw Racing, or was it Fitz Racing? Yes, Armando Fitz, 2008. That was the last time we saw a non-Penske 22 car. Wow. Shout out to who remembers Armando's Fitz team with the Supercuts car. Shout out to who remembers them, man. So it's been a long time since Penske. Fitz Bradshaw Racing. You got it, Billy. Yeah. It's been a long time since Penske has not owned 2008, not 2006. But yeah, it's been a long time since Penske has not used that 22 number. Jeb Burton will run the 22 under Jordan Anderson Racing. And it is the badass throwback to Ward Burton, his father. It's an exact copy of Ward Burton's 2002 Daytona 500 winning paint scheme. Sadly, the diecast will not be offered for likely legal reasons, unfortunately. But awesome car. It's going to be in the show no matter what, but cool for Jeb Burton. Got to be really cool for him to be able to drive practically his dad's car, just not a Dodge. It's a Chevrolet this time, but cool for them. So, yeah, the 22 for Jeb Burton. Jordan is in the 27. And, of course, Parker Retzlaff is in the 31. Joey Gase is back in the 35 car. It was kind of predictable. He usually runs the plate races since he's a good plate racer. Still no sponsorship for Ryan Sieg. Man, That just does not put a smile on my face, unfortunately. He deserves better than that. The deal that again, for legal reasons, I cannot disclose what happened to Ryan Sieg. A lot of people cannot reveal what happened. I was told by multiple sources in the Xfinity Series garage the story of what happened with Ryan Sieg. And I'll say this. CMR Roofing can screw off, and the RSS Racing deserves better. It's a real shame what happened to Ryan Sieg's team. I don't know if the real story will ever come out. I hope it does. I don't have the authority to put it out publicly, but I just want to say, if you're not a fan of Ryan Sieg, you should be, because this team got screwed over bad, really bad, by CMR Roofing. Really, really bad. Cesar Baccarella is in the 44 this week. Great to see him back. Of course, part owner of the team. Jeffrey Earnhardt, we know he's good on the plate tracks. He'll be in the 45. Of course, Ryan Ellis still in the 43, as we know. Jeremy Clements in the 51. Can he redeem his win? We'll see. Natalie Decker, of course, in the 53. Anthony Alfred in the 78. Alex Gannett. Yes, Alex Gannett in the 91. Who is this guy? No, I know he is. Alex has been running, he's been on and off in the Canadian Series, Truck Series, ARCA Series. He's been all over the place. Boy, DGM Racing sure does hire a lot of Alexes. Yeah, Alex Gannett ran the 97 at Daytona in 2016. Yeah, Alex, he's been around all over the place. Canadian Series, Truck Series, Xfinity Series. The name is probably not too familiar, but for the people who've been watching for over 10 years, probably in some ways recognize the name. And I agree, EC35, yeah. The fact that no sponsors have picked up Ryan Sieg's team, that's probably the saddest part about it. This is a top 10 level Xfinity organization. Top 10 level. And I know their asking price is probably a lot, but the fact that they are not stepping up to sponsor this guy, it is so sad. Like, come on. Is the sponsor market really that bad? It's just sad. Really sad. But yeah, 38 cars, 38 spots. Nobody goes home. We'll see how the backmarkers do. Do I think we have a shot at an underdog winner? Yes. I think both Greg Galding and J.J. Yaley are probably our best shot at underdog winners, for sure. And I'm sure Natalie Decker will get a great 28th place finish. Not the biggest Decker fan, sorry. But yeah, should be a fun race. That'd be on Friday night. Who is the worst driver in the top 3 series? Oh, God. Oh, man. Marco in the chat. Oh, who is the worst driver in the top 3 series? Man. Oh, God. I don't know. Is it CJ McLaughlin or Spencer Boyd? And they're both great guys, but in terms of driving abilities. Or Chris Wright. Yeah. I mean, by the way, joke, Chris Wright blocked me. Chris Wright. I guess Chris Wright must have seen my Michigan podcast, because I'm blocked by Chris Wright on Twitter. So, I mean, I don't care. Chris Wright's already hated by most of the garage anyway, because he tears up so much crap. He's good on a road course, but that's about it. Well, yeah, we'll move on to the Cup race before I say anything else. Cup race at Daytona. Thankfully, it's not just 36 cars. Thankfully, it's not just 36 cars. We got 39 cars. We got some good open cars here, some competitive open cars. We got the 13 of Chandler Smith. 36 of Riley Herbst. Who the heck saw that entry coming? And the 62 of Austin Hill, who was expected. Riley Herbst's entry is the one that shocks me the most. Now, it was made clear that Todd Gilliland and Michael McDowell would both re-sign with Front Row Motorsports for 2024, and that following 2023, Zane Smith was pretty much going to be on his own. Zane Smith did run the 36 car at the Daytona 500 for this team and was expected to take over the 38 car next year. It is very shocking not to see him in this entry, and I think it really points signs that Zane Smith will probably not be with FRM at all next year, either in the truck, not even in the Truck Series operation. A lot of signs point that he could go to the 98 car next year, which I think would be a good fit for him. Or he would go to an RSS car with Stewart-Haas Racing support, which would also be a good ride for him. So But just the fact that he's not in this car, it really kind of lets you know that maybe the relationship between Zane Smith and FRM might not be the best right now. And I'm really curious to see how Zane Smith's second half of the year goes with this truck team. Will FRM even have a truck team next year? Obviously, I know they got their own sponsors. The truck team has been on fire. But, yeah, there are a lot of rumors floating around the garage. And even Zane Smith posted a tweet about, 90 minutes ago with a simple look of, what should I do? So maybe Zane Smith is going to go somewhere and he's going to take us on a ride that none of us really expected. So, hey, for Zane Smith, I wish him the best. Loads of talent, great personality. I'm in the garage. Him, McCall Galding. McCall, she's such a sweetheart. Greg Galding's, of course, sister. She's an absolute sweetheart. I've known McCall and the Galding family for a long time. Zane Smith, great guy. Good people. Just say good people. So I hope Zane Smith lands somewhere good. But I think an RSS car with SHR support would be a really, really good fit for him next year for sure. And then, of course, we got, like I said, Rick Ware cars this weekend. Brennan Poole, of course, in the 15. Great to see Brennan back in the Cup Series, especially at Daytona. J.J. Yaley back in the 51. Hopefully, he can get another top. He should have had a top 10 finish at Talladega, but they took that away from him. 39 cars, solid field of cars. I think it's going to be chaos. It's funny. It's funny on the call today. Lots of news. Denny Hamlin still hasn't re-signed a contract. Still hasn't re-signed a contract. There's that weird rumor that they might be going to Ford, which I just do not believe at all. God, what else? Lots of other rumors. I can't even really think of them all right now. There's so many rumors that have been flying around. PRN did a big conference call today. With a lot of the fans, and the charters might be needing $40 to $50 million, which is absolutely ridiculous if that's true. If charters are really $40 to $50 million, that is absolutely ridiculous. And that's before you even start the team. So you're telling me you need $40 million to get the charter, and then another $10 million to probably start the team. For that kind of money, you could be a championship-level Xfinity team. $40 million would make you a championship-level Xfinity team. If I had that kind of money, I wouldn't go Cup racing. I'd go Xfinity racing. Why do you guys think that Dale Jr. has not run the Cup Series yet? That is a ridiculous amount of money. Even if Dale does have partners, that is an absolute ridiculous amount of money. And it's reasons why I like that we need to kill the rumor. Dale Jr., if he was going to be in the Cup Series, he would have been there by now. I don't see Jr. going to the Cup Series, especially with him owning the Cars Tour now with a bunch of other people. Jr. will not go to the Cup Series. I don't see that at all at this point. But if that is true, 40 to 50 million, that is absolutely ridiculous. Eric Almirola and Smithfield possibly leaving. Good. They didn't do much anyway. And SHR selling 2 charters, I find that bullshit. Almost cussed. I find that bull. We'll go with that. I don't know. I think the charter system's been stupid since day one. It killed off a lot of teams. I don't think it's been beneficial to NASCAR. I don't. I really don't. And yet the teams wanted it. This is what they wanted, and this is what you're getting. So, again, we'll see where it goes, but I don't like it. I don't like it. This car isn't any cheaper. This car is way more expensive. It's not been providing the best super speedway racing. I'll say this, though. The Daytona super speedway races have been better than the Talladega super speedway races. That probably means though, is that the track is smaller. Like the racing grooves are smaller than Daytona, which probably means why the racing is a little bit better. And it is kind of funny how Elton Sawyer said on today's conference call, I don't know if it was Elton Sawyer or someone, but they said, hopefully Chase Elliott can make it into the playoffs. What are they saying there? Huh? I'm just saying, if the 9 car wins Daytona, you're going to have a lot of pissed off people who are going to think it was rigged. Am I going to think it was rigged? Probably not. It's pretty much impossible to rig a Daytona race. That's not possible. But I will say this. If we see Chase Elliott get to that lead and Kyle Larson's behind him, there is no way in heck that 5 car is going to pass him. If the 24 and the 5 get behind the 9, there is no way that they're going to pass him. So, I think we're in for a wacky cup race. I think we're in for probably one of the craziest cup races we've seen. I don't think rain is going to take out 90% of the field again, like we saw last year. But still, it's in for interesting cup race. Nobody goes home, of course. Again, one of the very rare weekends, at Daytona where nobody goes home. Give an underdog pick. I'll go with McDowell. McDowell's very good. Riley Herbst, he got a top 10 in the 500, so anything's possible. Can Ricky Stenhouse go back-to-back? He could. This is one of those wild card races, and I'm excited for it. But yeah, the backmarker should do pretty good. JJ Yaley, never count out. Never count out JJ Yaley when it comes to these races. Just a matter of anyone would work with him. So, yeah, it's kind of the show tonight, guys. Wow, we went 66 minutes tonight. We're at 37 live viewers. It's the highest viewer count I've ever had live. So, for the new listeners tonight, thanks for tuning in. This is what we talk about every week with the backmarkers. We try to focus on that. We talk about the top guys because, you can't help but talk about the top guys. But for all the new people watching tonight, this is kind of what we talk about here on the show. The lower tier guys. So if you're interested in that and you enjoyed today's show, come back on Thursday for the ARCA show. And if you just want to watch the NASCAR show, I do this every week. So again, I thank all the new people who joined me tonight, and for the continued supporters, again, thank you as well. So yes, we forgot Josh Berry in the 42 as well. That could always happen as well. He's in the 42 for Legacy Motor Club. And you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday night. I'm going to get out of here. And, we'll catch you all on Thursday with the ARCA Racing Podcast. Then again, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications so you guys never miss one of these podcasts when we go live. And, I'll catch you all on Thursday live at 7 p.m. Colby Evans, Starting Park Car, signing off. I salute you guys. Goodbye.